It's a little chilly here in Vienna. Actually, I gotta wear my gloves. And look at that. What do we have here? A lovely cup of Dogenhof homemade coffee. Cheers. So you're probably wondering, what the hell am I doing here? Where am I? Truth of the matter is, I'm in Vienna, which many of you guys know is really my old hometown, right? And what brings Vienna, Venice, coffee, records, incredible dining, great company and atmosphere all together? Well, you'll probably be far-fetched in thinking that, what the heck's he doing here? Truth of the matter is, I am visiting the incredible team at SuperSense. Of course, you guys recall and probably remember the great video that I did of the unveiling of the first 4 SuperSense Mastercut discs that came out probably about a year ago by now. And it was, what was special about it, of course, was the fact that Doc Kapsch created this environment of really bespoke record manufacturing, but at a whole different level of what you're used to, right? There's of course ERC, which we all know is, 300 copies limited edition, and they do incredible work. In fact, I have most of the titles that they've put out over the years. Incredible craftsmanship. But how do you take that to the next level, right? Is there a next level? Well, and of course, there's always a next level, right? And so what Doc has done, and what the team here at SuperSense have done, is they have basically taken the step of eliminating pressing records altogether and really just cutting lacquers, 1-to-1 copies off of a master tape dub. Of course, all licensed through Universal Music in Austria. In fact, I just met Cornelius, the head of Universal Licensing here in Austria. We had a great lunch with him. Really, really cool guy. Totally believes in the project. And so, long story short, he basically makes a 1-to-1 copy off the tape, and it goes from the tape machine, literally 2 cables into the cutting head amplifier. In this case, it's a Neumann machine, vintage, and of course, serviced, brought up to spec, etc., etc. Long story short, it's just incredible. And what's incredible about it is the fact that you have, as I was saying earlier, you have Venice, you have Vienna, you have coffee. The place that he's doing all of this is on a street called Praterstraße here in Vienna in the 2nd district, very famous district. This house called Dogenhof was built in 1898 by a famous architect, and it's got a Venetian theme going to it. At that time, of course, many of you guys will know that Trieste, and in fact the northernmost part of Italy, belonged to Austria, including some of the coastline. And so it was sort of like an homage to Venice, and the architecture is distinctly Italian. It's got beautiful stucco inside, all handmade, hand embellished, incredible workmanship. And so he thought of, hey, let's house this whole complex of SuperSense at Dogenhof. And so there's an incredible restaurant called Dogenhof, where we actually had an incredible meal last night. And again, the theme of this entire enterprise that he has put together is really bespoke, handmade, analog creations of the highest quality and the highest order. Like, he was showing me the machine they use to create the letterpress that they're using for SuperSense, and the other stuff that they print out. And it's all just vintage stuff. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, it's truly next level ingenuity of old school charm where people have spent time and time developing these old technologies, and then fast forward 150, 100 years, and today someone is using it, that same print machine, to create records, bespoke handmade records. I mean, just incredible, right? And so this whole theme is bespoke handmade stuff, and this video is for you. Hope you'll enjoy it. Let's go check out and see what these guys are up to. So what are you guys doing? Prepping for lunch?
Exactly, yeah. So I already made my casserole for the day and the soup is finished. Now I finish the daily dish, which is roasted tomato sauce with polenta fries, spinach and green tomato salsa. And now I'm just doing the boring job. Now that everything stressful is out of the way, I start the boring job of peeling onions to make my life a little bit easier tomorrow. So I don't have to do it at 7:30 in the morning when I haven't even had my coffee.
Love it.
So that's it, yeah. It's always the same sort of rush every day to get everything ready. And then once everything is ready, there is a lunch rush. And then I immediately have to start thinking about what I'm going to prepare for the next day. This is sort of the way that I like to work. Always one day in hand.
How many different menus do you make every week?
Yeah, well, I mean, every day we have a different daily dish, so at least 6 or 7 every day. Yeah, I really like this because it's the best way for me to cook. We have some local suppliers, especially Dogenhof, and they're really just sending those local products from Viennese farms, but we don't always know what we're going to get. So part of my day is also just turning up in the morning, having a look inside the fridges, seeing what we have, and then working out what I can cook for the day. But I'm very used to this because before I worked here, I also ran a kitchen on Borgasse, where we change the complete menu every week. Wow. Every 7 days we have a completely new menu, and this was my most favorite job I ever had because when you're doing something different every day, you never get bored and you never lose interest.
That's the old adage.
Yeah.
If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
That's it, yeah. So for me, I really like I said, just checking out what we have and thinking what can I make today, and always there's something to make. It doesn't matter whether the fridges are half empty or whether we're waiting for a delivery, there's always something. And it's a nice challenge to work out what you can make.
Wonderful. Hello again.
Hey.
Why don't you give us a little run through and walk through your kingdom, and your studio?
Unser Studio. Yeah, welcome to SuperSense and the Mastercut studio. Here it is.
Let's take a look at this cutting lathe. I mean, that's the thing that I think fascinates me the most
Of course. I
with
mean,
regards to what it does, how it works, the technology behind it, etc.
it is the beating heart of the studio. We're making Mastercut records. For those who are not sure what it is lacquer masters, but they're not used for production like making metal stampers, molds, etc. for commercial pressing. But the actual product is the lacquer itself, the master. The one copy that is made on this machine, so-called record cutting lathe. This particular one is a Neumann brand lathe, the famous Neumann brand. Maybe you know it from microphones, studio condensers, microphones, mixing boards, etc. And they also made this heavy cast iron machines. This one is an AM32B. The AM is actually German. It stands for Aufnahmemaschine, like record machine or recording machine. And basically it's an oversized turntable. You have this platter, it weighs around 100 libs, 50 kilograms. It has some channels to it where you can apply vacuum. We have a vacuum pump that holds down the blank on it so it sits firm, it's not slipping, and it's also even, not wobbly. And then it has this arm, the carriage, which travels across the surface of the record during the cutting. The actual process of engraving the music onto record happens in real time. So let's say we have a tape, the A side takes 25 minutes or something. The process of engraving the music into the record takes 25 minutes. That's real time. Other parts to the machine is the amplifiers. It's okay. We're not in the acoustic era anymore. It's not like old Edison and Berliner did it with their, big horns that vibrate the needle. No, it's electronics. This is also a Neumann rack. Some tools to it to, for the purpose.
Is this all like Class A? Because the audiophiles are gonna go crazy over that.
The rack we use here, this is the VG66. It's a discrete transistor amplifiers. Most stages, like all the line signal, etc., Class A, yes. The power stage, like the very last one, is Class AB, just to drive or have enough power to drive the coils, especially for acceleration in the high frequency region.
And so when he talks about coils, this is what he's talking about. The coils that are in this
you see this
cutter head.
This device now moving up and down.
Yeah.
When I push the lever here, this is the cutting head. This is like the heart of the machine. This is the thing that transduces the electronic signal into mechanical vibration. So basically it's kind of the reverse thing of a phonograph cartridge, the cartridge on your turntable that translates the vibration in the grooves back into electrical signal that goes to the amplifiers. This is the inverse of it, and so it's a very critical part of the sound quality and the quality of the record in the end. And this particular unit is a Neumann. It's a vintage unit fitting the whole package. It's a vintage lathe back from the 60s. Restored, tuned, etc. So it's really working perfect condition. But yeah, it is old. It is vintage. It is rare. You cannot call a Neumann company and ask for another 1, 2, 3 of these units. They're all
gone. Yep.
Gone or well kept in studios around the world.
So here's the $100,000 question, Luki. Who do you call when you have a problem? When you need a new cutter head? How long does a cutter head last typically?
Well, cutter heads, depends. Like if you take care of them, they're really lasting a long time. But sometimes accident happens. It can happen. That's life. And basically you're. I'm not sure if I can say this word on YouTube, but you're in deep problems if
you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. If something happens to it, because you cannot use the machine anymore, you cannot make any records, and that's a problem. And so for this issue, there's more or less one guy in the world you can call, and this is our dear friend Flo Kaufman, who has been into this whole universe of cutting records, producing records, phonograph records for decades, and he is the go-to guy for any of these super delicate repair works on the vintage heads, like the Neumanns from back then. He actually, from my knowledge, is the last one who worked together with Neumann engineers on the original Neumann tools, to wind those coils and form the springs and put it all together, assembly, etc. But again, as the whole package, this is an old device. It's maybe 40, 50 years old. Probably has been serviced some years ago. This particular one, I know it's been serviced 8 years ago. But the industry, there's a resurgence and there's interest, and it's hard to just rely on old parts, old machines. So there's a need for something new, and then Flo as well is the go-to guy for the new stuff, and so he's the one who is also supplying us with a high-end version of his cutting heads, which are like the 2022 reincarnation of Neumann heads, but with modern technology and tools. Yeah.
Let's take a look at that.
Sure.
Hello again.
Hey.
So we are actually in front of the brand new 2022 Neumann designed, themed cutter head, maybe? Something like that? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's basically true, but you cannot call it the Neumann because it's not the Neumann. The Neumann brand stopped production of all their cutting equipment somewhere in the 90s, like, when they folded with Sennheiser, etc. And this one is one of Flo's cutting heads, Flo Kaufman, or his business Flocason, which is a brand new cutting head made in 2022
in Switzerland.
In Switzerland, Swiss precision engineering, and tiny parts, fragile parts, but carefully assembled, just like your Swiss watch. And we have those here for extending our production. We don't do just production on the old machines, we also have new machines. And we have this cutting head here. It's, you see this kind of V shape that's pretty. It's the basic of record cutting grooves. Like if you see this head from the front, there's two driving systems at a 90 degrees angle that are pushing a little sapphire, a little jewel that cuts the groove. And this one on this side here pushes the right groove wall, which is the right channel, and this one here pushes the left groove wall, which corresponds to the left channel. And these are really nicely made cutting heads made in Switzerland. They're as good as the old Neumanns in terms of their frequency response, phase response, impulses, etc. We checked them. It's really a solid alternative to hunting vintage parts on eBay or something.
Yep.
And it's also good, you can, it's not a cheap toy, but in case something happens, there are still spare parts around, and
Very cool. Absolutely fascinating.
Really,
and then this lathe obviously looks very different from the Neumann lathe we looked at. I guess this is a more modern version, obviously.
It's a more modern version, yes and no. It looks similar. We have the same components. We have a platter with the vacuum. Here we have some silk paper so we don't scratch the records. It has a cast body, a similar shape to the Neumann. It's kind of a Neumann-inspired design. We have the carriage and the arm holding the cutting head. And you could say it's similar to a Neumann, but again, this is not a vintage piece of equipment. This is brand new. This is made like a couple of years ago. We started extending this operation, cutting records on multiple lathes instead of pressing. So we do not make one master and send it to the pressing plant. The idea is to have this master record as final product, and yeah, to keep me a little less busy, we have multiple machines running at the same time. And so this is a brand new machine, also Swiss made. We have some new controllers to it, this new cutting head to it. Here, this box on top of another tape recorder here is actual cutting amplifiers. It's pretty similar to the old Neumanns in terms of power handling and signal processing, etc. But it doesn't take up a rack, which is as tall as me. It's just a single 3 height unit amplifier, and it does just a great job. And yeah, we of course do compare our records. So we compare what's the new machines, what's the old machine sounding, and it's so close. It's really hard to differ between them. So I guess we're really good there.
So this here, of course, is the big Studer A80 mastering recorder with a delay loop built in for cutting records, obviously, which is
Exactly.
this piece right here.
You see here this the first playback head. It doesn't have a record head. It just has playback head. So this is the first playback head that sends a signal to the lathe. The lathe then knows which music is coming, and the tape passes on these rollers. And this, this distance of the tape to the second playback head, this gives you a defined delay. A delay between the first playback and the second playback. And the second playback is what actually goes to the cutting amplifiers, to the cutting head, and is then inscribed as groove onto the record or into the record. And yeah, this is a special model just for transfers of tape to the record lathe. And yeah, I'm pretty happy that we have two machines here. One is like the working we use now for this production, and the second one set up for another production or as backup. And yeah, in this case, we already have the tape on it.
Ha! You're talking about tape, okay. Of course, everybody wants to know, is this the original tape?
Is this the original master tape?
Of Ella and Lewis.
Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. No.
Oh my God, it's not! Ah!
It is not the original master tape. We don't steal a tape from 1956 from the vaults of Worth Studios and bring it on our jacket and bring it here and rewind it 100 times. No, that would be insane. We're not crazy. We're not insane. Maybe a little bit, but not this much. The tape we use on here is what we call a production tape. So this is the production tape. It's on the tape machine. It's a 1-to-1 copy of the original master. So we got this from Nashville where they had this in storage. They made the transfer. On this production tape, nobody will send you original tape of Ella and Louis overseas to wind it down 100 times to make your records. No. So this is a 1-to-1 copy of the tape we can use for the transfers. But it's really nice. It's perfect condition. It sounds
and
great.
is it a flat transfer? Is it an EQ'd transfer? What's the detail on that?
It is a flat transfer. So the master tape, there's the original master and the archive. You do a flat transfer to get the production tape, and this is what we're getting here. Normally, you also have this what do you call calibration tones, etc. Some notes. There's notes of the tape, the material, the equalization is a NAB or IEC or whatever, and maybe some other notes from the engineers, what is going on with the tape. And so we take this, put it on the machine, take our tiny screwdriver, go down to the preamplifiers, align them, tune them, so tape is aligned as it should, straight.
Just what is a master tape?
What is a master tape? Yeah, that's a good question. Unfortunately, there's no super simple answer to it. But from my understanding, this is my personal opinion, is the process of making a recording. You have, of course, the musicians, and of course they also have their songs and their arrangements, etc. prepared. Like, okay, the music's happening. We're in the studio, we're recording today, and then this recording is stored on the media. This media probably is tape, like back then in the old days, they did it on tape. It's analog, it's pure, it's true. The way it was done back then. But then maybe there's already something there. There's like this recording, maybe a multi-track recording, like they had 3 tracks, 4 tracks, 8 tracks, what was available back then. And then they had it on these multiple tracks and mixed it from there and mastered it from there. And to my understanding, the master is kind of the final version of something. The final version before it leaves the door or before it's handed over to the next step. So the master tape is the last stage of tape before we make a master lacquer, which is the last stage of the disc cut of the lacquer. Maybe, but in the case of disc cutting, it's a little more simple because there's just this one stage. But the master is kind of the final version of something. So with the recordings of the archival edition we have, there of course is the original master, like the final version that was made back then by the sound and recording engineers, by the mastering engineer. And in case of this, Alan Lewis, it's a monotape that is stored in their safe in the States. And it is, a rare, fragile, it's one of a kind. This is the one and only copy with this final sound imprint, and you really don't want to mess around with it. You don't want to play it back 100 of times or send it overseas. Maybe it gets lost in shipping or something. That would be a horrible loss. And so for purposes of making records, it was always common to have what I call a production tape. So you have this master and you make a copy of it 1-to-1, first generation, as close as possible, and this is what then you can send out to, back then maybe record factory, pressing plant that makes thousands of copies, or in our case that's the production tape we get and we play back on this machine and cut it on the record. So I hope this makes it a little more clear what's a master, what's production tape, and where it is from the original recording.
Very cool. And of course, you guys get all your tapes officially licensed from Universal Media here in Austria, obviously.
Of course, this is original licensed tapes made from the original copies. This is not like any, what do you call these? Bootleg records or...
fly-by-night operation.
No. That's not the case here. This is really truly official recordings made from the original media.
Nice. Awesome. I see one more thing that I have to grill you over. Let me change the angle so people can see what I'm talking about. We'll be right back. So you're basically putting the box together now.
Exactly. This is the cover part of the packaging, and we print everything here with our bigger printing presses. And the cover has a letterpress set up on it, and it also receives at some point 2 hot foil prints. I will show you where if you want. So there's letterpress and hot foil,
Yep.
and also on the side,
Unbelievable. And all made by hand.
all made by hand, all set up by hand. You can see the type here.
Wow.
This is part of our setup. And this is how the cover is put together. And then we have the insert. And for the insert, we
That's
have...
my favorite part.
I love it, yeah.
Absolutely beautifully made.
On the insert, we have a silk screen. So it's for a silk screen. We have to fold it there by hand. So it has creases by hand, done by hand. And it's also set up with letterpress. The silk screen is an image of the actual tape that we use for these cuts.
And how
And-
foolish of me, I didn't even introduce you. What is your name and what do you do in this incredible analog contraption called SuperSense?
Yes, I'm Anna, and I am leading this. I'm taking care of this workshop, of this printing department, and I'm supporting Doc as an art director. So everything visual, it goes in a brainstorming with me and Doc together. It's a nice collaboration we always have, and yeah, we come up with this very minimalist analog solutions that we love, and we enjoy working on the processes.
Brilliant. I can just tell you, when I unboxed my very first Master Disc cut, gosh, when was it? Back in January or December last year? I couldn't believe the amount of detail and workmanship that went into something as simple as a cardboard for a record box. So
Yeah.
incredible.
For us, it was very important that people feel it when they open it, that it was made with the heart and the thought behind. And for example, I find it really neat that the cover does not have a design on top, but it's inside, it's hidden.
So it's the unveiling.
Yes, and because the world is so full of these images that are all over everywhere. There are LPs and covers that are filled with images. We don't need that so much. I think it's nicer when you can, when it reveals itself, and it's a process of knowing the product and what you're holding in your hands. It's like, it's not okay, it's simple, and you don't even have the name on the front, but you have to discover it on the back, exactly what you're holding, but it's special, it's hot foiled, there's an edition, there's a number, and then you unveil it, and there's even more coming towards you. And then there's also the booklet that we really, really like. And the booklet is also done by hand. I will try to quickly make one for you.
Incredible.
So we really fold everything.
Old school.
Old school, yeah. And you know what? It's amazing that we can be both mentally, creatively in this process, but also the same people work with our hands. And in this way we get so much closer to the product and to what it is in the end, and that's very, very important for us, that we stay close to the handwerk, to the handmade side of things, and that I don't have a colleague that does this for me, that I do it and I see how it works and how it feels, and I'm also in the process involved.
Well, you're literally, your hands touch every one of these records that are going out.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it's like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's the 1 degree of Doc, who touches Anna's stuff that she touched Doc's hands too.
Something like that. And then we have a very nice collection of documents and photographs. There's a sinograph and a Polaroid of the grooves, for example, all sorts of things that go inside. Also, everything done by hand.
Incredible. Such unique packaging.
And this goes inside the insert, we say. And usually Doc It's usually Doc does this, and we like to keep it that way. Doc is usually putting the very precious disc on this bed with this nice screw. So he has the honor to do it now. Doc, are you doing it now, please? Please? No, you do. You always do it.
Doc.
Please, Doc, I don't
There he
wanna-
is.
This is
The legend.
It's the ritual.
Look at that. He takes the Mastercut disc. Ah, unbelievable. I mean, this is just incredible. Das Tüpfelchen auf dem I.
Yeah, the moment everything gets together after many hours spent from many people into that, you know, I'm just trying
But
to
it's very
put
important.
everything
Wow.
together.
So this goes inside. You have the nice booklet that's revealing even more. And then the insert
Absolutely brilliant.
then goes inside. That's pretty
Wow.
much it. And then we
The
pack it.
handwriting also, no? Did
I
you
didn't, I
already?
didn't do it now.
Okay.
Do you want to do it really for real? I don't have. I'm not sure I
It's a
have.
date? We have everything, of course. We're prepared for the moment. So it's important that really the date of cutting, and you know we have this very professional online system of
Yes,
little.
I can tell it's
Yeah.
the best CRM tool ever.
Yes.
This is what Larry Ellison charges millions for
Yeah.
through the Oracle suite.
Yeah, it's of course
Wow.
all very digitized.
That's incredible.
And then
Is this
this
60
it's
64-bit
mono. You know that's
processing?
the, huh?
Is this 64-bit processing?
Yeah, there's, and you know the problem is that's our first mono edition. So to not put the wrong check here, it's really total concentration.
Absolutely
So
brilliant.
we did it once again.
Incredible.
Here we go, and then
Yep.
hand it over again to Anna. Oh, the number. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my gosh, the gloves. I forgot about those.
We're very nervous now on screen, of course.
It's 66.
66. Oh my god, that's
It's a-
amazing.
Ay, 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 ay.
So I will have to write it down here as well. It's a matching number.
And then it goes in the rice paper.
I will have to pack it nicely. Just have to put it on this side for a bit.
Wow.
So we do and then there's the final touch comes on it, so we know what's inside. I tape it down, and there you have it.
Unbelievable.
So you also know
And some lucky customer somewhere in the world
gets number 66.
gets number 66, Ella Fitzgerald, and the great Louis Armstrong.
Talking about lucky customers.
Ah, wait, what is that?
Oh my god, I don't know. It's putting on dust here for some time.
A box of dominoes.
But
Ooh.
it's number 7 of each and every new
Whoa.
edition.
Wait, I think I know the guy that ordered that.
Henry Ford. No, that's wrong.
Nice.
No, it's Danny.
Wow.
Or whatever. Key. How you?
Yeah, it's
how-
something.
it's-
K. Yeah, there's a funny story behind it. I'll drop it in the comments below. Wow, very cool. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
luxury bags, Louis Vuitton paper bags.
If I only had a record player to play those in. I guess that's a requirement.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It even gives you joy by just touching them. So it's
Yes.
good. You don't have to listen to them.
Let me touch them. Oh, I'm touching them. They're incredible. Wow. Awesome. Incredible. What an experience. What an experience. Fascinating.